Good morning, everyone. My name's Reverend Wakoh Shannon Hickey. I'm a hospice chaplain in Sonoma and Napa. I'm a priest of a tradition called Soto Zen Buddhism, which is the second largest school of Buddhism in Japan. And I'm a scholar of religions. And Curran and I are old friends from seminary. So she told me that during these really unsettling and unsettled times, people are sometimes having some difficulty staying in the present moment and feeling grounded. It's really easy under these circumstances for the mind to get really busy and kind of off into the future about things that we can't control. Sometimes worry feels like a way of kind of trying to have some control, but it's actually not very effective. So I'm going to offer 3 different practices this morning that you might find helpful in helping you stay grounded in the present and kind to yourself in the midst of really stressful, difficult times. So the first practice comes from a man named Frank Ostaseski. He was the founder of the Zen Hospice Project, or one of the founders. And he's written a wonderful book called The 5 Invitations, which is about being with dying as a way of living more fully. And one of the invitations that he offers is to find a place of rest in the middle of things. When you're caregiving somebody who's terminally ill, it's a very demanding process, and it can be exhausting. And so it's really important, Frank says, to find a place of rest in the midst of whatever's happening. And so this is a way of doing that. And the practice is called Mind the Gap. If you've ever been to the London Underground, you've seen the signs, mind the gap between the train and the platform. But this is really a practice of paying attention to the gap between the exhale and the inhale. So if you'd like to try along with me, I would invite you to get yourself seated in a comfortable position so that your feet can be flat on the floor and your back upright and your chest open so that you can breathe easily. If you're more comfortable in a chair with the back, do that. It's helpful often to have your hips slightly higher than your knees because it helps you to keep your spine upright. But get yourself in a position that is comfortable for you so that you can breathe easily. And first, begin by really bringing your attention into your physical body and into the physical experience of sitting on whatever you're sitting on. So perhaps notice where there is more or less pressure on different parts of your body. More or less pressure on different points in your feet. Perhaps the sensation of your hands on your legs. The feeling of your clothing on your skin. Maybe you can feel the air moving in the room, or hear sounds. So just for 3 or 4 breaths, just really give your attention to the physical experience of sitting where you're sitting with nothing else to accomplish but that, to just feel what it feels like to be sitting right here. Now bring your attention to your breathing. And you don't have to manipulate your breathing in any particular way. Just notice how it's coming into your body and moving down into your chest and coming back out again. Notice whether it's shallow and high up in your chest or whether it's down low in your belly. Whether your breath is long or short. Just follow it in and out for about 2 or 3 breaths. And as you begin to do this, you might begin to notice that there's a small space at the end of an exhale before the next inhale. See if you can feel that little gap between the exhale and the inhale. Might be very small. But if you can feel it, I want you to invite you to think about that little gap as a place of rest. A place where you can just let all of your tension drop into the floor. All of your worries and concerns, you can just for an instant let them go into that little gap, into that little space, that place of rest. And then the next breath will come by itself. And as you begin to do this practice, you might begin to notice that that little space even gets a little bit longer. And you have an even larger little space of rest in the midst of things. So just enjoy that little place of rest that is always with you. It's always available to you between every breath. You have a little space where you can just for a moment let go of things. This is a practice of learning to become still by relaxing. You know, you're not making any effort. You're letting go of the effort. And giving yourself a place of rest. And you can do it anywhere. I frequently find myself doing it at stoplights in traffic. So that space is always available to you, right where you are. Mind the gap. So that's the first of the three. The next one is a standing, walking practice. So I'm going to stand up and I'm going to demonstrate for you. This practice comes from the Zen Buddhist tradition. It's a form of walking meditation called Kinhin, Kinhin. And you begin by taking your left hand and curling your fingers lightly around your thumb, just lightly, gently, and placing it at your solar plexus, and taking your right hand and placing it on the top. Okay? And then, again, you find your place, you find your position while you're standing here. You could take a moment to really feel your feet on the floor. And in this practice, we're going to coordinate our breathing and our walking. And it's a very slow form of walking. Again, it's not oriented toward getting anywhere. It's oriented toward helping you be present where you are. So as you inhale, we always start with the left foot. So as you inhale, you'll raise your left foot and bring it forward a half a step so that your toes of your right foot are about in line with the middle of the instep of your left foot. Okay? So just a half a step. And then take another full inhale and exhale. You kind of find your place where you are here. And then on the next breath, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So with every step, you are then finding your place where you are. And then the next breath. Inhale, Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And you can just do this in a circle, right? Because the point is not to get anywhere. The point is just to be present with the experience of walking and breathing and finding your place where you are. And after maybe 5 or 10 minutes of this, you can stop by bringing your feet together and just making a little bow. So that's kini. And the third practice also derives from Buddhism. It's a self-compassion practice. Now, compassion, as Buddhists understand it, is the wish that others be free of suffering. And there are practices for actively cultivating compassion, both for others and ourselves. And there's a whole long practice for cultivating compassion for self and others that's got like 7 steps, but that would take more time than we have this morning. So I'm going to just offer you a really simple compassion practice. And this derives from the work of a woman named Kristen Neff. And her website is called self-compassion.org. You can find this and a number of other self-compassion practices. But the basic process of self-compassion, cultivating self-compassion, has a couple of parts. The first is simply to recognize that you're uncomfortable, right? To recognize when you are distressed. The second is to recognize that discomfort and distress are a fact of life. That doesn't mean that something is terribly wrong. This is the way things are. It happens to all of us at times, right? The third is that your distress and discomfort is shared by others. You're not alone in that experience. Other people also know that same kind of distress and discomfort. And so instead of feeling isolated and alone in your distress, you can see how your distress and others are connected. Others' distress is connected. And then the last part is to offer yourself some self-compassion, some kindness to yourself in the midst of your discomfort. It's my experience that contemplative practices, if you really engage in them seriously and over a long period of time, they will be uncomfortable at some point. You know, intensive meditation is frequently uncomfortable, both psychologically and physically. But the practice is to learn to be with your own distress and discomfort in a kind and compassionate way. And the extent to which you can do that for yourself is equal to your ability to do that for other people. So you may have had the experience in your life when you were in a lot of distress, and somebody was able to just be with you when you were distressed, and they weren't trying to cheer you up, and they weren't trying to fix it or make it all better. They could just be with you as you were having some distressing emotion. And that in itself can be a healing thing. But we cultivate our ability to do that for others by cultivating our ability to do that for ourselves. So, if you find yourself in some moment of distress, the first thing to do is to say to yourself, oh, this is a moment of distress. I'm really uncomfortable. You could say, whatever word makes sense to you. You could say, this is a moment of suffering. If that seems too extreme, you could say, I don't like the way I feel right now. You could say, this sucks. Whatever you need to say to yourself, but just to acknowledge the distress that you're feeling. And then the next part is to say, this is a fact of life. This discomfort is a fact of life. And other people are having the same experience at the moment. And so just as I might extend compassion to someone else who is feeling this discomfort, may I extend it to myself. So maybe put a hand on your heart and just allow yourself to feel the contact of your hand on your heart. Or maybe a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly. This helps to kind of activate the parasympathetic nerve system. Or maybe you want to just put a hand on your cheek. Just some kind physical gesture of comfort to yourself. I'm really uncomfortable right now. Discomfort is a fact of life. Other people have this experience. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself what I need to be free of this distress. May I be kind to myself. May I be free of this discomfort. May I give myself what I need right now. May others be free of their discomfort. May we have what we need in this moment. So just those very simple practices. I was having a conversation with somebody, well, actually more of an argument, and I was really upset in this conversation, and something the other person said so triggered me that I actually had to physically get up and remove myself from the room. And I stood outside the door of the room. I said, I'm coming right back, just hang on. And I did that for myself. I said, I'm really uncomfortable right now. May I be kind to myself. Other people are having this distress. May I give myself what I need. May I be kind to myself. And being able to do that helped me reset enough that I could walk back into the room much calmer and then be able to say what I needed to say in a way that was a lot less adversarial, and a lot more constructive. So again, by taking care of myself in the moment, I was able to also help to take care of a relationship in the moment. So those are 3 practices that I would like to just offer that you could try. Mind the gap, so really just paying attention to the space between the exhale and the inhale, and seeing it as a place of rest and letting go. Slow walking meditation without any destination, kinhin. And self-compassion practices, where you just meet your own discomfort with the same kind of tender kindness that you might show a good friend or a child that you care about. So I hope that those will be of some use to you. We cannot control what is happening in the world at large, but we can help ourselves be grounded in the present and in compassionate frame of mind, so that we are better able to discern how individually and collectively we can respond to the suffering of the moment in ways that are helpful and constructive. So I thank you very much for your time and attention this morning. I look forward to the opportunity to speaking with you about some of these practices, and I wish you peace of mind and heart. In the Buddhist tradition, whenever we engage in spiritual practices, we don't keep the good just for ourselves. We give it away. So any merit, any good that has arisen from my demonstration this morning, any good that it does for anybody in the world, I offer widely for the benefit of all beings. May the compassionate gifts of these practices pervade everywhere. And may we, together with all beings, continue to grow and deepen in wisdom and compassion. Thank you.